back, and let's pick up where we left off at. All right. Third quarter, Colorado went on a tear in the second half, outscoring the Red Raiders 31-14 in the second half, thus winning 41-27. We're looking at 388 yards for offense for the Red Raiders, but three turnovers. Three of them. Colorado, 351 of offense, no turnovers. There go your difference right there. Three turnovers. Colorado turned those into points. And that's how you go from being down 10 at one point in time, possibly on the verge of an upset on the road, to winning by 14 on the road and putting yourself in a prime position to contend for a playoff spot if you coach Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes. All right. Shadur Sanders, 30 for 43, 291 yards, three touchdowns. Travis Hunter, 9 catches, 99 yards, and one of the three touchdowns. For the Colorado Buffaloes, you have Milton, 20 for 40, 20 completions for 40 passes, 275, a touchdown, two touchdowns, and one pick. Brooks, 31 carries, 137 yards, and a touchdown. But when you turn the ball over three times, especially at home, you lose games, which you did. Okay. So shout out to Coach Prime. Shout out to the Buffalo for getting a big road win and a not so easy place to get one in Lubbock, Texas against the Red Raiders. All right. Now, as you see here, we have South Carolina who backed up that big win that they had over Texas A&M by going to Nashville, Tennessee, and putting a nice good old beating on the Vanderbilt Commodores 28-7. We'll get to Death Valley in a minute. And the sixth ranked Nittany Lions of Penn State 35-6 win over the Washington Huskies in primetime action on the Peacock. But let's get to Death Valley, the site of college game day. It is the rivalry in the SEC. The Alabama Crimson Tide rolling into Death Valley in prime time against 15-ranked LSU Tigers. This game was over before it even started. Alabama jumped on these boys, and it was no looking back. Jeez. Brian Kelly, what was your team at home in Baton Rouge? Where was y'all? They actually brought a live tiger to the freaking field, and the Tigers that's in white and purple didn't even show up for the game. What the hell happened in Baton Rouge? Jeez Louise. 421 of total yards for the Crimson Tide, 343, but you had three turnovers. You see a theme here, ladies and gentlemen, from week 11, turnovers. All the questionable games that we looked at teams that didn't play right, all turned the ball over. They all lost a turnover battle. And that's how they lost. Miami lost a turnover battle, lost to Georgia Tech. Georgia lost a turnover battle at Oxford, got beat by Ole Miss. We just looked at Texas Tech trying to build on their upset win from a week ago against Colorado. They turned the ball over and Colorado got out of there. Now we're looking at LSU and Alabama. LSU turned the ball over. That's 4 games that we just looked at. Turnover is the story of week 11. If you turned the ball over, you took L's in week 11. And good gracious. And it's not like Alabama had a passing offense. They was just running the ball down your damn throat. Jalen Miro, 12 carries, 185 rushing yards, and 4 touchdowns. Passing game, he only went 12 for 18, 109 yards. Because damn it, he was like, well, if y'all can't defend the run, why would I throw it? Which I don't, and this one I don't blame him. Hell, y'all not stopping me from running. Why the freak would I stop running? 12 carries, 185 yards. I'm going to do some real-time math here, okay? So he had 180 yards rushing on 12 carries. Jalen Miro was averaging 12? No. Jalen Miro in the running game. Jalen Miro, the quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide, averaged 15.4 yards a carry against LSU. I'm going to say that again. Jalen Miro, the quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide against the LSU Tigers on prime time at Death Valley, had an average of 15.4 yards a carry in Baton Rouge. Brian Kelly. See, we thought you was gonna come home. You know, you were gonna try to make amends for what took place with Texas A&M. And when you went up against their running quarterback, Marcel Reed, if I remember his name correctly, thought you was gonna come home from that ass whooping that y'all took in College Station in Texas. Thought you was gonna come home knowing that it is Alabama week. It is called Hate Week for those who don't know, and you will show up to play. They brought a real tiger to the field and everything, but no, you let Jalen Miro run down your goddamn throats like y'all was Swiss cheese. 15.4 yards a carry at home. Y'all wasn't at Tuscaloosa, Alabama when he did this. Y'all was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Where the hell was the run defense? Who was the person that was supposed to be containing Jalen Miro? 12 carries, 185 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Not to mention, you turned the ball over 3 damn times. How you the home team? You turn the ball over 3 times. You're the home team. Brian Kelly showed up again. Jeez Louise, that back-to-back weeks at that. God dog. You got a big win over Ole Miss. You in the driver's seat in the Southeastern Conference to get to Atlanta, and then back-to-back weeks you take your ass whooping at Texas A&M, and then Alabama walks into the Death Valley in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and they do this to you. And it's Jalen Miro's running all over you. Not throwing the ball, running all over you. This is the stuff we be talking about when it comes to coaches like Brian Kelly. And some, I'm not going to throw Lane Kiffin in there this time. Lane Kiffin got a big win. So Lane Kiffin is off the hook this week. He got a big win over Georgia. He's off the hook this week. Brian Kelly, you showed up in oh so fashionable way. Jeez Louise, what the hell was that? Now, I had a 500 week in week 11. 5-5. Yep, Cincinnati took one against West Virginia. We already talked about the upset in the ATL. We already talked about LSU and Georgia, and then I didn't think South Carolina was going to back up that big win against Vanderbilt, but they backed it up. They went to Nashville and they handled business. So 5-5 on the year, 69-41 overall, still pretty good, doing pretty well. So, yep, that would do it for the Gridiron Roundup, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're going to take another commercial break here. And when we come back, we're going to talk college football playoff rankings and what confusion is there this week before we get into our campus tour. So we'll be back.
Join the transporter to Hades.
Your butt and gut becomes one.
Join the reformer of hooker whores.
This is my daughter, Placenta Booty Johnson.
Join the bronze god.
Whenever you are in distress, take off your baseball cap and throw it in the air.
Join your very own superhero of broadcasting, Chris Bass.
So whatever color crayon they get, they palm it and do 2 circles, and that translates to, I can beat up black people.
As she takes you through the week's paces in Baseline. Live every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, Pacific time zone people, just stay asleep when this is on live and just catch the recording. Oh, I'm sorry. Exclusively on the Chris Bass YouTube channel. Drew Willingham.
In this case, yeah, you put the blame on Kyle Shanahan for apparently not preparing the team enough for the overtime rules, supposedly.
Cole Johnson.
Peyton was considered the winner, and he was the darling of all darlings for Gerald.
With a special appearance by Tyrone Alizé McDummy.
Ain't nobody calling me. Text delete, 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 delete.
Join these two football enthusiasts as they give you Total Football Talk. Live every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central on the Sertoba Media and the Comey Media YouTube channels.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Bearing Down Gridiron. Sorry about the technical difficulties earlier, but don't worry, I will fix it. I'll fix it and you'll get the full show all in one full swoop. So we'll take care of that. But as we continue on, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to our campus tour, we got to talk about this playoff rankings and how it got confusing last night. Okay. All right. So here we go. The CFP rankings week 2 edition came out. And here a lot of fathers. Oregon still at number 1, Ohio State number 2, Texas jumps to 3, Penn State is at 4, Indiana 5, BYU 6, Tennessee 7, Notre Dame 8, Miami 9, Alabama 10, Ole Miss 11, Georgia 12, Boise State, the first group of 5 team in the rankings at 13. You got SMU, Texas A&M, Colorado State, Colorado. All you see is the rest of it down to Army and Tulane at 24 and 25. You look at it and you're like, okay, pretty good. I like what we're doing. This is pretty good. But then you get to the playoff bracket, and then you see Oregon number 1, obviously. Texas is number 2. Wait a minute. Texas is number 2, but they're ranked 3. You got BYU sitting in the third seed slot, but they're ranked 6. And then you have Miami, who's ranked 9th in the rankings, but they have the 4th slot, which means if the season would have ended today, Miami, Oregon, BYU, and Texas all get buys. If the season ended today. I know y'all confused right now. I know it. Then you see here, you see Boise State will be playing Ohio State, who is ranked 2nd, according to the CFP committee. They'll be playing them, and the team that you don't see, who is ranked 12th to the committee, is the team that's out of the playoff, which is the Georgia Bulldogs. What in the hell is going on here? I know. So I think I need to say this every week because this is how it's going to be. The 4 Power 4 conference champions get automatic buys in the playoffs. So if you win the ACC, if you win the Big 12, if you win the Big 10, if you win the Southeastern Conference, you get a bye into the quarterfinals, while the other 7 slots are at large bid, and the highest group of 5 team gets in automatically, which will be the winner of one of the group of 5 conferences. Right now, the leading candidate is Boise State right now, and they do lead the Mountain West. Army and Tulane, they are battling in the American, so we still got a lot of football to go. But conference championships get automatic buys, okay? Make a note, write it, whatever you need to write it at. Conference champions gets buys, okay? So that's why you see the BYU, who's leading the Big 12, and that's why you see Miami, who's leading the ACC. Now, we got some more confusingness going on here because I thought about this. But playmaker. How is Texas still leading the ACC? Currently, they are not on top of the SEC right now, okay? Which I took labor doing that for you. So let's go here. Let me show you the conference standings right now. You get to the ACC, you see SMU 5-0 in conference play. They are on top because they are undefeated in conference play, and everybody else has at least 1 loss. You see Clemson, you see Miami. But hold on, whoa. Hold on. If SMU is sitting on top of the conference correctly, why is Miami getting the automatic bye? And why SMU is not in this system? That is a very, very good question. And here's what I know about the committee. They are picking their conference champions. So they don't believe, despite what this says, that SMU can beat Miami. And they don't think Clemson will beat Miami. So Miami's in that slot. BYU 6-0, top of the conference. You have no say. Followed by Colorado, who's there. Iowa State still hanging around. The teams you see in these boxes here, these are the teams that are still fighting for their conference. So you go from BYU all the way down to West Virginia. All these teams are still alive for the Big 12. SMU all the way down to Pitt. They're still alive for the ACC. Go to the Big 10. Indiana all the way down to Penn State. They are still fighting for the Big 10. And then from Tennessee all the way down to good old Brian Kelly LSU Tigers. They are fighting for the Southeastern Conference. Now you sit here and you say, hold on, penalty maker. If I'm looking at this right, I do see Tennessee sitting at top right, followed by Texas A&M, followed by Texas, right? Like, yep. But if you go back to the Texas, is the one that is seated second with a playoff bye. Like I said about the Miami thing, they believe, the playoff committee believes that Texas will win the Southeastern Conference. So even though Texas is currently sitting at third behind Texas A&M and Tennessee, that Texas will win the Southeastern Conference. So I know it's confusing. I know it is. It is. And there's something, Pat McAfee said something on the show today, and I was watching, that I agree with. What if the committee don't even do rankings? Like, what if the playoff committee got rid of this spot right here? Just get rid of this and just focus on that. I think we'll be good. Because you'll sit here and then you get to say you can't, because Miami's ranked 9th. Okay, Miami's ranked 9th. And we look at the ACC, they are behind SMU and Clemson, but yet you giving them the automatic bye. What are we doing? You got Texas, who's ranked 3rd in your rankings, right? They get the second seed in the automatic bye. But if you look at the standings, they're behind Tennessee and Texas A&M. Now, granted, Texas do control their own destiny because they do have Texas A&M at the end of the season. And if I remember correctly, they have, let me go to the Southeastern Conference and see. We'll look at the remaining. They have a big game coming up this week, which we'll preview in campus too, because I know it's in there. You talking about Arkansas, Kentucky, and Texas A&M at the end of the season, so they control their own destiny. If they win out, they go to Atlanta and they fight for the Southeastern Conference. But it's the same thing with Texas A&M, though. Let's look at Texas A&M remaining schedule, shall we? All right. They got New Mexico State, Auburn, and Texas. And by the way, that game is in College Station, not in Austin, which means the Longhorns got to go to Kyle Field to take on the Aggies. Keep that in mind. And then we look at Tennessee. Tennessee, they have our spotlight game of the week. I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there. They have a spotlight game of the week, and pretty sure y'all know what the game that is against Georgia coming up. But we look at their schedule, depending on what happens with Georgia, because they still have Georgia coming up this week. Then they have a UTEP, and they finish the season off at Vanderbilt. So the whole confusion is from the CFP committee did not help at all. Because when you did this, it confused that right there. I'm with Pat McAfee. Take away the ranking system. Let's take away the top 25 CFP rankings. We don't need that. We're gonna do it until Team Power. And then let's come out with this and explain your position on this. You can simply sit here and say, okay, based on what happened, we know that SMU is sitting on top of the ACC, but we believe Miami wins that conference as of right now. We like Miami's chances, so we slid them second as the ACC, quote unquote, ACC champion. Cool, fine. Yeah, the 13 of y'all was in the room. Y'all agreed to that. Okay, we got an understanding now. BYU, we understand when they strength of schedule and all that, but they are undefeated in the Big 12. They've been on top of the Big 12 for the longest, so we got to give them their spot. Texas, yeah, they took a loss to Georgia. We know there's just like a little tiebreaker with them, Tennessee, and Texas A&M. Texas and Texas A&M, they played in the late part of November. That's going to tell us everything we need to know about that. Tennessee has a big game, but if we had to choose between them three to actually win the quote-unquote Southeastern Conference, we like Tennessee chances better than Texas A&M and Tennessee. All right, we got that. But when you did this right here, this is what made everything confusing. Because now we're looking at BYU. How y'all see them as a 6th-ranked team in the country, but they get a bye? What? Even though conference champions gets automatic bye, by the way. But you got Georgia ranked 12, but they are out of the playoff system. If you didn't have this, and you said Georgia right now is out because they right now are not in position to win their conference. And with the group of 5 getting in automatically, that's the highest group of 5. Somebody got to get left out. Plus, Ohio State looks good. Tennessee's right now looking pretty good. Penn State looks good. Ole Miss looks good after beating them. Alabama looks good, especially with the win against LSU. And then Indiana's undefeated. You see how easy that was for me to explain that? But that's not what they did. It was so confusing last night. I was just like, what are y'all doing? This doesn't match this, and this doesn't make sense to this. They're not connecting. So I'm with Pat McAfee. Get rid of the ranking system. Don't even do a top 25 ranking. If we have to use the AP top 25 for the entire season, we just do that. Don't even do this, because when y'all do this, y'all confuse the hell out of everybody when y'all did that. Just let the AP do the top 25, even though we can care less about it. And then every Tuesday night, y'all just tell us this is where the playoff bracket looks right now because of this, and this, and that. Will it change? Yes, it will change. But man, that is confusing. That is very confusing because Miami don't even control his own. Miami is now looking up to SMU. Y'all couldn't put SMU in that slot as the leading. That's another thing I should have did. Whoever's leading the conference should be in that slot. And you go ahead and say, because they are leading their conference as of right now, they'll be the ones in that slot. Until that's what y'all should do. Whoever's leading in the conference should be in that slot. Because y'all sit here and told us, if you win your conference, you get the automatic bye. So, in my opinion, Oregon, correct. Instead of Texas, that should be Tennessee, because Tennessee is on top of the Southeastern Conference. BYU is correct, because they're the only unbeaten team in the Big 12. And then SMU should be in Miami spot. And possibly you probably take out Ole Miss and throw Miami into the first round slot. Simple. But the committee complicated it to where people are now questioning how. So how do y'all ranking teams, and then how y'all see them in the playoffs? What the hell are we doing? Like, what is this? So if you're complaining about how the CFP have done theirs this week, I am totally with you, because it was very confusing. But hey, I try to simplify it for you. They believe Miami, Oregon, BYU, and Texas will win the conferences. They believe Boise State would be the highest ranked group of 5 conference champion, which unfortunately will leave Georgia out of it because Indiana's undefeated. And by virtue of Indiana being undefeated and Boise State got to give a group of 5 in there, at least Georgia out of it. But Bulldog fans, you can get mad at the committee if you want to, but get mad at your team because you lost 2 games. Like, winning matters, okay? I know we're gonna come here and say, man, they got one of the toughest schedules in the league. They had to play at Alabama, at Austin, at Ole Miss, and about the rivalry game with Florida. And I get all that. I am a Southeastern Conference guy myself, but winning should matter. So I don't want people trying to discredit Indiana for being in the position to host a playoff game, because nobody expected Indiana to be 10-0, which they are. Winning has to matter. You want to say who they win, all that other stuff, don't care. They're undefeated. Out of everybody in this 12-team playoffs, Oregon's undefeated, BYU's undefeated, and Indiana's undefeated. Everybody else, all other 9 teams in here, Miami, Texas, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Penn State, Alabama, Ohio State, and Boise State all have at least one loss. Winning should matter. I don't care. Winning should matter. You should be credited for winning your games. That's all I'm saying. So Indiana's in right now. Georgia's out of it, but Indiana has a game coming up not this week, but they have a big game next week. And I can't wait to preview that game next week. And that might be my spotlight game of the week next week, just to throw that out there. Okay. Now, obviously, I already showed you the standings and whatnot. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into our campus tour. And to begin our campus tour, let's head out to Maryland, where the 25th ranked Green Waves of Tulane are taking on the Navy Midshipmen. This is a big game in the American. I know usually we don't do group of fives, but this isn't a good time to do it. You have the American Athletic Conference right now. Army's leading the way at 9-0 on the season, 7-0 in the American play. Right behind them is Tulane, 8-2 on the season. They are 6-0 in American play, and then sitting third, and the only team left to make things happen is the Navy Midshipmen at 72 overall, 5-1 in American play. This should be a good game. Tulane is coming into this game averaging 42 points a game. They are combining for almost 500 yards a game. You're talking 214 through the air, 228 through the ground. They are 50. They're almost 53% third down completion rate. So this is gonna be a nice game here. I'm looking forward to this game, and we'll see what happens. Navy, they're averaging about 36 points per game. There are 260 on the ground, 137 through the air, but their third down percentages is 39. So it's gonna be an interesting game between the Green Waves and the Midshipmen. And Mr. Cole Johnson's in the building. How you doing? Hello, Cole Johnson. He said, "Thank you, Ole Miss." And don't bleep it up, Texas. Well, we're going to get to Texas in a minute. And he says, "I'm sorry. Good afternoon, playmaker." What's up, Cole? How you doing, sir? Appreciate you watching. So looking forward to this game. All right, let's get to our next game. From Maryland, let's head to Pittsburgh, PA. The Pitt Panthers hosting 20th ranked the Dabo Sweeneys of Clemson. Clemson is a 10-point favorite on the road. 12 p.m. ESPN. Dabo, you didn't look so well. You snuck out of Blacksburg. Now you got to go to Pitt, and you're looking up at SMU on top of the conference. Miami's behind you now because they decided to up in the ATL. So we might get SMU and Clemson in the ACC championship game down in Charlotte. We could get SMU and Miami down in Charlotte. And then for some odd reason, if SMU decides to screws up at some point in time with the next 3 weeks, we can get Clemson and Miami in the Charlotte. So it's going to be an interesting battle through the ACC, but tricky game in Pitt for a good old Dabo Sweeney. All right. Now, the aforementioned Longhorns, ladies and gentlemen, they go to Fayetteville, Arkansas. Yes, the third-ranked Longhorns of Texas. They head to Fayetteville to take on the Arkansas Razorbacks. 13.5-point favorites, all those god darn Longhorns on the road. 12 p.m. ABC. And ESPN Analytics says 85.7% in favor of the Longhorns. I'm going to just say this, Cole Johnson, your Longhorns better be careful in Fayetteville. The Razorbacks are coming off a bye week. And they are licking their wounds. They have been rating for 2 weeks to get rid of this 63-31 ass whooping that they took to Ole Miss. And that was in Fayetteville, by the way. So I would say Sarkisian should have his boys ready for this one. And make sure they know that they understand the job at hand, because I think the Arkansas Razorbacks are coming for a fight. I'm gonna put it like that. They coming for a fight. So we'll just see what happens. Cole Johnson says, at least Dabo Swinney bounced back from the loss at home to Louisville. He bounced back from that. All right, I give him that. He did bounce back from that, but it was not a. It was a tough one, but he did bounce back. I give him that. From Fayetteville to South Bend, because the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are taking on ACC member the Virginia Cavaliers. 23-point favorites are the Golden Domes at home. And I would say they can't screw this up, but we did see them lose to Northern Illinois. But ever since that, they have been winning. I do believe they have been dominant in that spot as well, if I remember correctly. So we're looking at 3:30 on the NBC channel. Go figure. If I would look at this correctly, we're looking at, let me see, their last 5 games they have won. They beat Illinois 31-24. They beat Stanford 49-7. They beat Georgia Tech 31-13. They beat Navy 51-14. And then last week they treated the Florida State Seminoles as cupcakes. They beat Florida State 52-3. So ever since they took that L to Northern Illinois, which was in South Bend, by the way, Notre Dame has been on a roll, and that's why they're ranked 8th in the CFP ranking. So Virginia, no, I don't want to sleep on Virginia. They are 5-4 in the year now. They are 5-4. They coming off a win at Pitt, 24-19. So they are coming off a win. Okay, so might wanna make sure that Marcus Freeman has his boys ready to do what they got to do. And here you go. Here's my only gripe with the playoff. What in the world is Notre Dame doing in the top 10? They need to be punished for 3 losses with that Northern Illinois defeat. Well, you can't punish them that much. They only lost 1 game, and it's the 1 game. Maybe if other teams like Texas, Georgia, LSU, Alabama. Notice I picked all the teams from the Southeastern Conference. You know that, right? Maybe all of them wouldn't have screwed up. Maybe Notre Dame wouldn't be in the top 10 right now. But no, everybody wanted to beat everybody else up. And also Notre Dame, they just kept on winning. They found us right back in it. You see what happens when you don't do your damn job? Texas, Georgia, LSU, Alabama, Texas A&M, Ohio State, Penn State. You see what happens? When you don't do your damn job, a team like this, who lost to Northern Illinois at home, found themselves back in it. So, Cole Johnson, do me a favor. I know how you feel about Northern Illinois, but do me a favor. Tell the teams in our conference to stop effing things up. We want to be in this predicament. Since nobody wanted to be dominant, Notre Dame found themselves back in it. They put their head down and they just kept on winning. So this is what happens when you have chaos. Like I said, November football, this means more. When you have chaos in the month of November, things like this happen. Notre Dame crept themselves right back into the top 10 because everybody else beating each other up. Nobody wants to be dominant outside of Oregon, BYU, and Indiana, the only unbeaten teams in the Power 5, in the Power 4 conferences. Everybody else took a nail, which opens the door for, Yeah, Texas had 1 loss, but guess what? That 1 loss opened the door as well. Because you took a loss to Georgia, who has 2 losses now. Could be 3, depending on how this weekend goes. Just open. What do we always say? If you have a good team on the road and you don't take them out, guess what happens? You lose. Notre Dame just put their head down and win it, and then everybody else wanted to beat each other up. So yes, they are back in it. And the only way to get them out of it if they lose again, which I don't see happening. Well, then again, they do have a date with Army coming up, an undefeated Army team at that. So that should be a game I might be interested in watching. Notre Dame and Army. Now, the last time they played the undefeated team, that was Navy going in. They smacked the brakes off Navy, and Navy haven't been the same since. But yeah, they got a date with they got a good old date with Army coming up. I'm looking forward to the game. Matter of fact, when is that game with Army? Because I might actually watch that game. I actually might watch my Army game for once because Army is undefeated. So they have Virginia this week. They have Army next week, and it's in South Bend. Oh boy. Next week, looking like it's going to be a juicy week 13. Looks like it's going to be a juicy week for me and college football fans. Week 13. Oh my gosh. That's going to be lovely. All right. Cole says, and then the Fighting Irish have the road paid for them with 5 easy ACC games. Well, when you beat each other up, it don't matter how you put it. You can't defend the fact that everybody beating each other up, which opens the door for them. Then we have people believe the Big Ten's a powerhouse, and they are all powder puffs, except for Oregon. You better put that last part in there because Oregon's undefeated, sir. From South Bend to Gainesville, Florida. As the Florida Gators coming off that thumping that I told Cole Johnson that was going to happen in Austin, Texas. He didn't believe it was going to happen. He thought 21 points was too much for his own team. I said, man, they're going to beat us by more than 21. And look what happened. They beat us by more than 21. And then you have the LSU Tigers ranked 22nd in the college football playoff rankings. Coming off that ass when they took to Alabama. 4.5 point favorites. Are the Tigers going to the swamp? I don't even know what to say about this. 4.5. ESPN says 4.5. There are some books that says 4. Damn, they have no faith in LSU. Jeez. We have a third string quarterback, man. And there's possibility that DJ Larry could come back. I don't want him to come back. I do not want DJ Larry to come back at this moment in time. We talking about a hamstring here, okay? We are talking about a hamstring, all right? Let that man rest, okay? But ESPN said there's a 57.3% chance of LSU winning this game to Florida's 42%. They are giving Florida 42% with a third string quarterback. Boy, people have jumped off the LSU bandwagon after what Alabama did to them. Good gracious. Brian Kelly, you need your ass whooped. You should be fired for letting Alabama decaffeinate all over you in Baton Rouge. So you missed my stat earlier when I said about Jalen Merrill. Good gracious. Would you have faith in LSU? They're horrible. Florida has a third string quarterback. Jeez. We are playing a third string quarterback. If LSU loses to a third string quarterback in the swamp, Brian Kelly might get fired. And that means Florida have a chance to make B2B bowl eligible because we still got Florida State on the schedule. Oh my gosh. Oh. Just, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Cole says Alabama beat them by 29. High school teams can beat them. You just being disrespectful now. There's no way a high school team can beat LSU. That's not good. Bearman says I've lost confidence in Quentin Ewers. Don't worry, Bearman. Depending on how he looks this week against Arkansas, I think you'll get your confidence back. We shall see, though. But it is Arkansas we're talking about here, though. So that's keeping it honest. Let's go from the Gainesville to Columbia, South Carolina. 21st ranked Gamecocks who backed up that big win against Texas A&M. and a trip to Nashville with a dub against the Vanderbilt Commodores and shutting them down. They only scored 7 points. Now they're at home hosting the Missouri Tigers, who have fallen from the grace of glory. 12 points are the Gamecocks at home. Now I'm just going to leave it like that. Let's go to Manhattan, Kansas, where the Kansas State Wildcats ranked 16 in the country are 9-point favorites at home against Arizona State Sun Devils. Okay. This is a big one in the Big 12 because Kansas State wants to keep pace with BYU. All right. At 7-2 on the season, but coincidentally though, the Sun Devils are quietly 7-2. Now, how in the hell who has Arizona State play to get themselves 7-2? Well, they beat Kansas 35-31. They beat Utah 27-19. Their second loss came at Cincinnati, who was an up and down team, by the way. 24-14. They went to Stillwater, Oklahoma, and they doubled up on the Mike Gundy's 42-21. And then they hosted UCF this past week, and they beat them 35-31. This is going to be an interesting game. Very interesting game here. Cole Johnson says Kansas State got forgotten all of a sudden, didn't they? Well, when you're Kansas State and you lose at Houston last week, you see why. 24-19. You lost to Houston. You cannot lose to Houston, Kansas State. That's why. Okay. You ran through Oklahoma State. You went to Boulder, Colorado. You took care of Coach Brown and the Colorado Buffaloes. You went to West Virginia. You took care of them. You took care of Kansas. Then you lose to Houston. And Cody Johnson is taking a shot at me at this one. And the Utes are filling the Big 12 competition now. Shut up. Coincidentally, ain't none of my conference picks have gone well, okay? The only one is Oregon. Okay? Jeez Louise. Those of you who don't know, I picked Florida State to win the ACC. I picked Utah to win the Big 12. I picked Georgia to win the Southeastern Conference. And I picked Oregon to win the Big 10. Yeah. My picks for a conference champion are not good this year. They were great last year. Not good this year. Then we go to the Mountain West. Yes, I'm giving you 2 Group of 5 games this week because they are important games. We're going to the Mountain West in prime time. San Jose State hosting 13th ranked Boise State in a very big game in the Mountain West. Okay. And those of you who wants to know about the Mountain West, right now the Boise State Broncos lead it at 5-0 on the year. The Colorado State Rams second 4-0 in conference play. Then you have UNLV at 3-1, and then you have San Jose State at 3-2. Very big game. Boise wins this game, they can most likely put themselves in the title game, which they'll be hosting in the Bluefield of Boise, Idaho, in their game because they'll beat San Jose. They'll move them to 6-0 with only Wyoming left for conference play before they host Oregon State. All right, for San Jose State on the other end, they got some work to do and they need some help. Can they do the unthinkable and beat the Boise State Broncos at home? They host UNLV before they host Stanford. So this game has a lot riding up. If you're in the Mountain West, Boise can win this game. They pretty much say, we clinch a spot in the Mountain West Championship. We'll be hosting it. And who wants to come to the blue turf in Idaho for this game? So this is a very massive game. 13.5 out of Broncos. And, Ashton Gentry is a Heisman candidate. That man has been unstoppable this year. What he has done is remarkable. I believe he's closing in on 2,000 yards rushing, if I remember correctly right now. Let me go look at these statistics here for Astro Genti. Astro Genti, he has rushed for 1,734 yards with 23 touchdowns. So that man's been on a roll, and the way he's been rolling, he might get over 2,000 yards rushing. So the way he's been rolling, he has 2 games left, possibly 3. Oh, he could definitely get to 2,000 yards rushing. So I'm looking forward to that one. And we go to Ames, Iowa. We're going to the Big 12 because Iowa State and Cincinnati, they do battle in Ames, Iowa. This is particularly a Big 12 elimination game here because you have the Iowa State Cyclones sitting at 4-2 in conference play right behind Colorado and BYU. Then you have the Cincinnati Bearcats at 3-3, trying to play spoiler at this point. Iowa State cannot lose this game. They have fallen off. You want to talk about a team that's been forgotten about, Cole Johnson? What about the Cyclones of Illinois of Iowa State? I mean, you lost to Texas Tech 2 weeks ago. And then you got beat by Kansas in a shootout, 45-36. And all of a sudden, the promising season for the Cyclones has been flipped upside down in a 2-week span. In a 2-week span, the Cyclones have put themselves on the brink of elimination after having such a promising start, and then back-to-back weeks, you got shot. Completely shot. So, Cincinnati, if they make it 3 in a row, the Cyclones of Illinois go bye-bye in the Big 12. That's just remarkable, right? Cole says, since he went bye-bye, the Bearcats eliminated themselves by losing at home to West Virginia. Yeah. And he says, Iowa State wasn't forgotten. They just straight fell off the map. Jeez, that was terrible. Very, very terrible from you guys. All right. And then we have our spotlight game of the week, which should come to no surprise because there's only one game this week in week 12 that you should look at this week. My friend, if I remember correctly, this is the only rank versus rank game of the week. Yep. Nope. Missouri and South Carolina both ranked 21 versus 23, but outside of that, there's only one other rank versus rank game. And let's go over the hedges, ladies and gentlemen, to Georgia. As the Georgia Bulldogs will look to rectify, and I do mean rectify, what took place at Oxford as they are hosting the 7th-ranked Volunteers of Tennessee. 7:30 ABC. College game day will be in attendance at 9 a.m. So this should be a game to watch. Nico Alamiaba, he will be playing this week. That news came out today. Closing in on 1,900 yards passing with 11 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Carson Beck, the turnover machine. Carson Beck, who had 2 more turnovers in Oxford this week. I believe he is up to a good 14, 15 turnovers in the last 4 games. That man has been a turnover machine, a legit turnover machine, and it is starting to hurt the Bulldogs right now. Okay. Now, with that being said, now you saw earlier, I gave you the standings earlier, but those of you who don't know, if you came in late, as of right now, the Southeastern Conference is led by the 7th-ranked Volunteers at 5-1, followed by the 15th-ranked Aggies, so Texas A&M. Then you see the 3rd-ranked Texas at 4-1. Then you go down, the very next team after that, it is the aforementioned Georgia Bulldogs at 5-2, followed by Ole Miss 4-2, Alabama 4-2, Missouri 3-2, and LSU 3-2. So a loss by the Bulldogs here at home in Athens, Georgia, and their season is done. If you know anything about the schools of the Georgias of the world, the Alabamas of the world, they don't care about bowl games. They care about championships. So a loss here at home will end the Bulldogs season. They cannot make the 12-team playoffs. I lost by the Tennessee Volunteers, and they put yourself in position that Georgia isn't going into this game. You have to fight and claw your way into the playoffs. All right. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is our campus tour. All right. Before we move on to our next segment, Cole Johnson says, I am interested to see what will go down between the hedges. Both teams are playing for their playoff lives. This will be beautiful. I cannot believe this, but I have to root for Georgia so they can hang a second loss onto Tennessee. Says I know you're waiting for Tennessee playmaker since the Bulldogs are your most hated rivalries. Well, let's see if that rings true, sir, because it is now time to go to our Bear Down Play 10. And let's get to the Bear Down Play 10 and give me the Tulane Green Waves to go to Maryland and take down the struggling all of a sudden midshipmen's of Navy. I like Tulane in this game. Sorry, Navy, but I think that aspirin that y'all took at MetLife Stadium to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, a lot of teams seen that, and they're starting to use that game plan against you. And I believe Tulane is the type of team that can do the same thing Notre Dame did to you. Give me the Fighting Dabbles to go to Pitt and get a dub, continue their hopes for making the playoffs, and their hopes to go into Charlotte to play for the ACC championship game. Hook 'em horns. I mean, if y'all lose to Arkansas, oh my gosh, the noise that would be on Austin, Texas would be remarkable. I don't see it happening. I see Texas handling business, and they beat Arkansas the way they're supposed to beat Arkansas. Notre Dame, enough said. Give me the Fighting Irish. LSU, Brian Kelly. You lose this game, you might be getting fired. Okay? Because there's no way in the hell you should lose 2 in a row, especially after the way that you looked against Alabama. You cannot lose to a third-string quarterback. If you lose to a third-string quarterback, just imagine what would happen in Baton Rouge if you lose to a third-string quarterback in the swamp. Brian Kelly, don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. I'm taking the Gamecocks. They are rolling. They are hot right now. They made a believer out of me last week when I picked Vanderbilt over them, and they shut down Vanderbilt. So give me the Gamecocks. Defend home turf over Missouri, who has fallen off the map. Give me Kansas State Wildcats. I think they are in a position where they know they need to win to give themselves a chance to get to Arlington, Texas at AT&T Stadium for the Big 12 championship game. Give me the Broncos, man. Like, did y'all really think I was going to find a way to pick San Jose State? Not a chance. Not a chance in this world. Nah, can't do it. I'm going to go with the Cyclones here because both teams don't know how to win big game series. I got to pick one of y'all to win. So give me the goddamn Cyclones here. Yeah, give me the Cyclones here. Give me the Cyclones here. And then we get to our spotlight game. But before we do that, Cole says, all right, Tulane, rep New Orleans the only way you know how. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing coming for you, to be quite honest with you. He says, I agree, playmaker. If the Longhorns lose to Arkansas, we don't deserve to go to a bowl game. Forget a bowl game. Y'all don't deserve it to a playoff. It's all about playoffs. We don't care about bowl games. We care about playoffs. And he says, get them, Gators. Get that fake Southern Baptist preacher out of here. If that man loses to a third-string quarterback, oh, my gosh. All right, for the Spotlight Game of the Week, and you know, when we do our Spotlight Game, we got to go to the fans. And the fans have spoken volumes. I hope y'all ready for this. 69% are on the Bulldogs. 69% are on the Bulldogs. Only 31% of the people are giving Tennessee a chance to go to Athens and beat the Georgia Bulldogs. After Georgia just got done getting beat by Ole Miss. Man, oh man, good gracious. Cole Johnson, you are wrong, sir. Give me the Bulldogs. I don't remember the last time Curry Smart lost 2 games in a row, especially when the second game being at home in Athens, Georgia. I don't know if Ikola Amadiyaba is ready for this atmosphere that he's going to face in Athens, Georgia. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Bulldogs to win this game at home and keep their hopes for the trip to the ATL alive, and hopefully a trip to the playoffs alive, and Tennessee will be in the same position as them when this is all said and done Saturday night. So there you have it. Give me Tulane. Give me Clemson. Give me Texas. Give me Notre Dame. Give me LSU. Even over my Gators, yes. Give me South Carolina. Give me the Wildcats of Kansas State. Give me Boise State. Give me Iowa State, and give me the Georgia Bulldogs over Tennessee. And the fans, 69% in favor of the Bulldogs over the Tennessee Volunteers. All right. Before we got it, Cole Johnson says, "I didn't say you were picking who you were picking. I say you were rooting for. Hell, if I was rooting for, I'll have both of them lose. To be honest, I can care less if either one. I knew you were going to pick Georgia to win that game. Hey, man. I am a football guy, okay? My team had their chance. They made it a very hardly contested game. We took it now. That thing is done now. Now I go back to being a mentalist, okay? I'm going for Georgia. Georgia. I don't see Georgia losing 2 games in a row, especially when the second one is at home. I just don't see it. And if I'm wrong and they do it, boy, Kirby Smart going to be feeling some heat as well. That's all I got to say. And with that being said, thank y'all for tuning in today. I know we had technical difficulties and I had to do another recording to get the second half in here, but we will fix all that in the post-production side of it. But thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for watching. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, the Play Major Ball YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. So every time we go live, you'll get a notification. Plus, you'll see me tomorrow for Randomly Talk discussing discussing that game that took place on Monday night. Jeez Louise. I have nothing to say on that, but I'll be done with that tomorrow. Also, catch this program on the Rare Wise Radio. Shout out once again to my brother Wise and Healthy. You can also listen to this on 502 American Angel Radio. Also, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and wherever else you find your podcast is at. You can find Bear Down and Gridiron. You can find Random Talk, and you can find Shooting the Lights Out. Those of you who are asking about Shooting the Lights Out, sometime after Thanksgiving, I'll get back to basketball because I need a break from basketball. Because I went from the opening tip from last year of the NBA all the way up to when the New York Liberty won the WNBA championship. So I need a break from basketball right now. Don't worry, I'm catching some games. I'm watching, but give me till after Thanksgiving to get back into basketball right now, okay? Because what I want to focus on football because there's a lot going on in football right now, and I appreciate it. Cole Johnson says, and you talk about me. If Texas and A&M play, I'll say I'm rooting for a tie. Yeah. That's like the only 2 teams I feel that way about. So the Rams did a great job, playmaker. Shut up. Let's shut up. All right. Now we'll do it for this session. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for watching. I will see y'all next week for more Brand Down the Gridiron. Catch me tomorrow for Rambley Talk. And until then, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. If you don't catch me tomorrow, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your football weekend. And I will see you next week right here next Wednesday for more Bearing Down the Gridiron. Deuces.